Hello and welcome to Hungry for Home. It's a collaboration between the Chicago Sun-Times and WBEZ's Worldview to explore Chicago's international food stores one delicious bite at a time. I'm WBEZ reporter Monica Eng, and today I'm here with Polish-American community organizer Anna Sulkowski-Sobor. Welcome.
Thanks, Monica.
You know, Anna, we recently went over to Rich's Deli in River Grove, where you led me on a guided tour of all the incredible Polish specialties there and what to buy and what not to buy and how to choose it. And today you're here to show me a recipe that uses a lot of those things. What did you choose?
Well, I chose something called miseria, which means misery in Italian, and it's a very typical summer and spring dish. In Poland, you tend to use the produce that's in season. So it's composed of thin sliced cucumbers, dill, lemon, sour cream, salt and pepper, and maybe a little bit of sugar, and that's it. So it's super easy to make, and it goes very well with sandwiches, any kind of meats, anything you could possibly imagine. So in summer, when you want to get cool as a cucumber, then you can make a miseria salad out of cucumbers, and it'll give you that crunch and that tangy coolness to go with your entrees.
All right, well, let's get started. I'm a little curious by this name because a lot of people, when they're thinking about having a delicious meal and enjoying themselves, they don't always reach for misery. What's the story behind that?
Well, misery loves company.
Yeah.
An Italian princess named Bona Sfora married King Sigmund I, Zygmunt I, in 1518. So she came from Italy, where she ate a lot of fresh vegetables and olive oil, and it's a different climate. So
sure.
they had, and when she came to Krakow, the cuisine was primarily meats and beans and potatoes and heavy things like that. So as soon as she could, she planted a garden, imported a bunch of seeds from Italy, and started growing cucumbers and a whole bunch of other things. And once they said this, the legend goes that every time she ate this cucumber salad, she would cry. She was miserable because she wanted to be home. She was homesick. So that's called miseria, which means misery in Italian and in Latin.
Well, it's making me want to cry because these cucumbers smell so good.
Well, you can use either the English cucumbers, which are the ones that don't have the seeds in them,
right,
or you can use the little pickling ones, whatever tastes
right.
best. Some people, you're supposed to cut it as thinly as you can. I'm not as good as a mandolin, but you're supposed to cut it so thin that you can see Warsaw through it, or your knife through it, so that it really
soaks up the flavors.
The flavors. What you do is you chop them up, put them in a bowl, put some salt on them.
All right.
And we don't have time to do that here, but you let them sit for about 10 minutes after you mix it up, and then you squeeze out any excess water.
Oh, so the salt draws that out.
So the salt draws out the extra moisture, so your salad, your miseria, doesn't get too soupy.
Still has that crunch.
Still has that crunch.
Now I see you have both Polish and Daisy regular sour cream. Why both? Why would someone go out of their way in Chicago to get Polish sour cream?
Well, because it has a different taste. Just like in the Polish store you saw, there's Polish mayonnaise made by Hellmann's and ketchup made by, so it just has a different flavor, so people want that flavor of home. So today we're going to try the Ludwig Dairy Śmietana Kwaśna, which means sour cream, 18% milk fat. So you're supposed to use about half a cup for a whole cucumber, but we have about half a cucumber here. So, you can put in as much or as little as you like.
Try that spoon when you're done.
Sure. Here, there you go. And then you can compare it to the...
It does have a slightly different flavor.
Okay, so now taste the regular American Daisy, which is also 18% milk fat.
A little, I think, sweeter or rounder or something. But
yeah, and it doesn't have any sugar in it, so I checked the ingredients. All right, so then we mix this up until it's creamy. It kind of looks like tzatziki in a way, the Greek dish, but it's more, it's a little sweeter and tangier, slightly different.
Do you always have to add sugar, or is it sort of to your taste?
It's kind of to your taste. Then you would add some dill, which dill is ubiquitous. It's one of the first herbs that comes up in the spring.
And really important in Polish culture.
Yeah, it's basically it's either chives or dill in so many Polish dishes, either as a garnish or to add a little flavor. And then we would put some lemon, just a little bit of lemon.
I noticed when we were at Rich's, there were just piles and piles of fresh dill, and you were telling me how to choose good ones and bad ones and how to pick it.
Right, so you always have to be careful that you don't get any rotten dill. So they usually package it here in bunches.
Okay.
So like this one came like this, so you always kind of look around and make sure it's all green and not slimy. And then unlike, people are like, how do I use this, right? So some of it has a really thick stalk.
Don't eat that.
Don't eat that. I mean, if you're cooking a soup or something, you could put the whole thing in. But if you just want for cooking, you'd basically just snip them off.
Okay.
And then after years of struggling with knives, I have discovered it's a lot easier to just use kitchen scissors. And that way you can, because again, you want to get the slices of cucumber as thin as Warsaw. You also want to chop the dill as thinly and finely as possible.
Wow.
So that the taste is more evenly distributed. So now we just have to mix all this up. And if you're having a fancy party, then you bring out your best Polish crystal.
Did you say best Polish crystal?
Oh, look what I found. Thank you, Mom. And then you would put it in the refrigerator or someplace cool and chill it for about 20 minutes to half an hour, because the colder it is, the crispier and crunchier it is.
Nice. Well, speaking of guests, I think we're going to have Worldview host Jerome McDonald coming over for a visit to try some miseria.
Hey, Anna, nice to meet you.
Same here, same here.
This looks super delicious.
Thank you.
Okay. And you guys have this beautiful clay dish of it.
So that is another traditional Polish pottery called Bolesławiec, and a lot of it is sold in Poland as well. So it depends if you want to go traditional with crystal or more contemporary. So we're going to see what you think.
Yay!
I put a little fresh dill on top to make it a little more visually
It smells good. I don't
appetizing.
even have to eat it. I can smell it. It smells so good. It's delicious. I could eat that whole bowl.
Well, some people do that. They just get like boiled potatoes with a little butter or a glass of buttermilk on the side and miseria, and they're done. That's all. They don't need anything else for dinner.
You know, and I'm hearing you talk about the sour cream. People want the sour cream from Poland, and I'm thinking about the tale you told about the cucumbers, and it sounds like Polish cuisine is just like it is back in the old country, that there's been no changes. It didn't go the way of Chinese food, which we know is nothing like Chinese food in China here. Is that true?
Not quite. Just like I know there's chop suey in America and it doesn't exist in China. What happens over the decades is, yes, Polish cuisine morphed here as well. So what do people say? Oh, it's pierogi, you know, it's kielbasa, which is sausage, it's potatoes. Poland has at least 40 regions, all with their own forms of cooking, like the people by the Baltic Sea have a lot more herring and seafood and everything else. So people who haven't been to Poland are really surprised at the variety of cuisines. Everything from salmon en croûte, you know, to different kinds of trendy, you know, what we find trendy now, but is really old school, the farm to table. You'd be surprised at the variety of the cuisine.
What about the church? In Poland, the church, and in Polish culture here, the church is central. Did it have an impact on the food we're eating here?
In a way, because the parishes in Chicago and the Polish Catholic Church were the community centers in all the neighborhoods of Chicago, and they were also where there were always feasts after the masses, all the names days, banquets, weddings, communions. So as you know, every church hall in Chicago has a kitchen, right? Yep. And all the women and the men, you know, not gender biasing here. You know, people would bring in their specialties that they would make at home, but they would also prepare it there. So that really helped perpetuate the culture and help people feel a closeness to the country. For a long time, you couldn't travel back because it was behind the Iron Curtain. And I think like even my nieces and nephews who don't speak Polish participate in our traditional Polish Christmas Eves and Easters, and they know what the foods are, the traditions are. even though they don't speak the language. And that's what the food does. It binds you. It ties you to that country.
And it's the best pierogies, right, at the church sales.
Oh, my aunts actually made tens of thousands of pierogi to save St. Mary of the Angel Church. Because the archdiocese was going to close it. So all these ladies would get together every week, make them, freeze them, and sell them. And that's one of the ways they did fundraisers. So yes, the best pierogi are the church fundraisers, all handmade.
Wow. Well, pierogies can do more than fill your stomach. They can also save a whole church and a parish.
That's right.
Next time we'll make pierogies, but we'll eat them with some miseria.
Mizeria.
Miseria. It even sounds Italian. Well, Anna Sokolowski-Sober, thank you so much for coming in and showing us this today and telling us the story behind it. And Jerome, I'm so glad you liked it.
I'm taking the bowl.
Yeah.
Go right ahead. And you need a ham sandwich to go with that.
Yeah.
And good rye bread.
Oh, now you're making me hungry. For the Chicago Sun-Times and WBEZ's Worldview Hungry for Home series, I'm Monica Eng.